Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open and step into your true power.
Welcome, Chantelle. Welcome, everyone, for our next round of Lives Together. And this is a wonderful topic. We're looking today at limiting beliefs around money, around wealth, and around abundance. And what I love about Tantra as a spiritual tradition is it includes everything in spirituality. So relationships, sexuality, and money. And shows how all these parts of our lives are really linked and really connected to each other. So we already have some questions that people have posted.
I want you to share, before you ask me anything, about your journey with abstaining from spending money and that being really judged. And yeah, because I found that really interesting when you shared it with me.
Sure. So I guess I grew up in a family where money was always a bit stressful. Like, we always had money, but there was family arguments around it and there never seemed to be enough. And I went from that kind of childhood into then spirituality, living in India, the kind of ashram lifestyle for part-time of my life for 10 years. And really the relationship with money in that tradition and from the people who I was learning from and living with was abstinence. So I spent those 10 years shopping mostly at op shops, Kmart, but never anything more than that. And actually, I was in the relationship I was in, there was a level of punishment if I wanted to spend money on something that was like beautiful or quality. So when I then came to Tantra, and I'm like, oh, wow, this part of my feminine I hadn't really explored that could bathe in luxury and appreciate good quality fabrics and smells and experiences. And yeah, that was quite a journey with you as well when you first took me shopping. It gave me a few years to stay in my tomboy stage. And it just opened up a whole new level of relating to myself in a way that was loving and respectful and honoring. And I always, when I look at the deities, you know, they're not painted in their pajamas. Or they came off clothes. They're like beautiful fabrics and silks and jewels. And it's really, for me now, every day that I dress, it's so much fun. One, because I've always loved dress ups as a child, and I feel like that's what life is like. We get to put on these beautiful clothes and they have different energies, and then we get to radiate that. But spending money on myself, on what I wear, on how I look after myself, the supplements I give myself, the food I choose to eat, the places I choose to live in, it's like I'm treating myself like the goddess. And all the spiritual traditions around the world say that at that state of oneness, it's like we are God. We are God and goddesses living in the Garden of Eden right here, right now, on planet Earth in this lifetime. And when we start to spend money in a way, for me now, that is adoring myself and loving myself and respecting myself, then so much overflows. Firstly, more abundance, more joy, and more beauty in so many areas of my life.
Oh, thanks for that. And it's been interesting for me watching you, because I feel like the more that you have been receptive to money and spending money on yourself, the more that your soul essence has been revealed, and you have this beautiful, queenly, elegant being that just kind of emerged once you got out of your tomboy clothes and, you know, clothes you'd had for a long time.
And my withholding energy.
Yeah, I mean, even hair products. I remember when I talked to you about that and everything. And it does. I think it's the way that we approach money and the way that you just set it up then is beautiful, like having an intention to really nourish our beings, to feel beautiful, to experience luxury. So, yeah, thanks for sharing.
Welcome. And so maybe you could do the same and share your journey with money, because that's been incredible to observe as well. So I think that's nice for people to hear also.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with two different parents, complete opposite in terms of the way that they approach money. My dad was always very overflowing and generous and felt very safe to spend money. And because my mum grew up quite poor, there was more of a scarcity and fear around spending money. So I had a lot of money. My parents were millionaires and lived in very like mansions that my dad built. But there was that double experience. And I think, you know, my mum taught me really good principles around saving and around being able to hold money and not just spend it. And dad taught me about overflow of generosity. But when I really went on my money journey with an amazing mentor, wow, I had no idea the impact that this opposition was having in me. And part of the collective beliefs and how much they were impacting me, like you have to work hard to get money, like, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, all of these things. And actually the biggest part of my journey was when my mentor made very clear to me that part of overcoming limiting beliefs around money was actually tuning into why you want the money and then seeing if you can actually calibrate to that. So part of why I wanted more money was to have more spaciousness. But like everything, what we consciously want and what we unconsciously want are two different things. And I'm used to being very busy. I'm used to working really hard. So when I was bringing in a lot more money at the beginning and suddenly had all this spaciousness, I could feel myself wanting to fill that spaciousness up. So I had to really recalibrate my nervous system into being in a more receptive state. I mean, even when you were here, Tara, and I was exhausted after living Tantra retreat and launching practitioner training, and you were working and I was going off with Matisse to the beach. There was a part of me that was still like, is this okay? Like she's working and I'm not working. And so and then I've learned to check that out. I'm like, what's the limiting belief right now? And the limiting belief was I need to be working hard with her to be of equal value. And then I'm like, okay, how can that be rewired? It's like me actually being in my ease, joy, and pleasure right now is fueling the business just as much as what she's doing. And then I feel like you and I have this amazing service soulmate relationship that we often talk about, where when you need time off, it just naturally happens. I'm more inspired when you got to Bali and you had heaps to do. I was like, oh, and it's crazy. It just happened naturally. So I feel like Spirit definitely supports everything once you're really willing to look at what's unconscious, to look at your limiting beliefs and to start a process of rewiring. And it's been an incredible journey for me to actually just go, wow, where has spirituality influenced me to say it's not okay to have a lot of money? And it's like, oh, no, I don't really think I've got that one. And then when I contemplated deeper, it wasn't about having money for me. It was about wanting money as a priority. Like, no, my priority should always be service. And that's how I was brought up. And then it's like, okay, what if I did prioritize money? And actually, if I had more money, that I could be of deeper service. So there's so many layers to it.
Yeah. Thank you. So I feel like there's two key steps, and I'm tracking some questions that we've got as well. And one is working with the beliefs. And with this, it feels to me like there's two components. One is how do you realize and become conscious of what your limiting beliefs are that are in the body that are keeping us stuck at a certain level? And then two, what do we do with those beliefs? So that's one side of the coin, is working with the limiting beliefs. The other side that you brought in, which is fascinating and I think so not looked at actually in a lot of money work, is really feeling into your why for abundance. And like you said, to that. So I'd love if we could spend some time with the beliefs so that people get a feel for how to work with the limiting beliefs, how they can feel into their why and calibrate to that.
So I like to start with the why and the expansion. And again, this is what I really have support around. And I think like having a mentor is so invaluable. And whenever I'm at the next phase of my journey of expansion, I'll always have a mentor in my life to support that. And thankfully, my beloved is my mentor in the area of spaciousness and really knowing that I'm worthy of a joyful, peaceful life, and I don't need to spend most of my time in service to others. I can actually fill up and then I can be of more service. So very lucky there. But my mentor with money, what she gave me the perspective around in terms of working with the felt sense of a limiting belief is to start with the expansion. So to start with the why, to go, okay, why do I want more money? And see that. And what I was seeing at the time was taking my kids to Europe on the most exotic, luxurious trip, and that happened. So I was really seeing that. The mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. Seeing it, feeling it, moving my body in a way that like, yes, this is awesome. And seeing all these beautiful, amazing places, imagining them really happy, and bringing that movement into your body and the excitement into your body, I find really, really helpful. Of course, visualizing and then the felt sense in the body. And then when you do that, the limiting beliefs come up so naturally. So you're expanding and then you're noticing what are the parts that are contracting in me as I'm seeing and feeling this new reality. And, with seeing being away with the kids, I actually didn't have an issue with that a couple of months away. I know I deserve that. But when I started expanding that vision even more into having a home with beach views and having a sauna and having red lights and having only organic produce and being able to go anywhere I want, whenever I want, being able to give the kids whatever they want, then I started to feel this contraction. It's like, oh, fuck, what's that about? And it's like, where is this serving the planet? So that's when I realized I had this limiting belief. That's really selfish, just to think about you and the kids and not to think about humanity. And so, there's all of these individual limiting beliefs that are unique to everyone, right? And the way that you rewire that is to stay with the feeling of contraction, move that in the body and ask yourself, where does this come from and what's underneath this, and just feel it all the way. I mean, you need over Alive, it's hard to go into. You need to be guided in an embodied way. And yeah, if people, I do one-off sessions called breakthrough sessions. You can get my support if you need it. And the key really, if you want to just try it on your own, is to stay with it. Stay with the feeling of contraction for long enough that you're like, that's it. And you can feel that in your body. And mine was my worth is connected to how much I'm having an impact. And I had no idea. And that was there. So once I felt that, then I would feel the expansion of the vision, right, that I'm having when I'm prioritizing myself as much as my service. That's what I started with. You don't want to go to a belief that's too hard to feel in your body. So, okay, I'm just as important as my service. And I could feel that. And then the next stage of that was I'm even more important than my service, and prioritizing myself is more important than prioritizing others, because actually when I do that, I can serve with even more fullness and transmission. So it's like I learned in my journey of working with limiting beliefs that as you're bringing in the new belief, which is so important, so you never just want to work with the limiting beliefs. You want to work with the limiting beliefs and the expansion of the new belief, right? That's the main thing you need to feel here. And I learned to keep it reasonably available to me, whatever that new belief was. So when I was first manifesting money, for instance, I went straight to 100K months and I just couldn't feel that in my body. But then when I went to 50K, I could feel that in my body. And likewise with the limiting belief around service. And, you know, when I saw the belief in me that was so strong of you have to really work hard to earn money and money doesn't grow on trees, which I think almost everyone has that belief, right? I actually saw money growing on trees and all this gold flowing. And I'm like this beautiful tree. Eventually money for me in my visualizations became this beautiful golden goddess, and I was receiving her through my base chakra and overflowing into everyone else. And generosity is a really important virtue. So, you know, giving a lot to my kids and the people that I love. And so, yeah, that's kind of the best I can do to describe that method without actually taking people through it.
Yeah, beautiful. And some of the questions that were posted on before we went live about this, I think through a story, was around what do you do if people aren't booking your services, or how do you find clients with small followings? And again, from what I hear you saying, it's like also focusing on what you do want, whether it's a bigger following or more clients, and having a felt sense of that.
Well, there's also certain cerebral answers to that. So if you tell me what the questions are, I can probably add to that as well.
So I think they're trying to say, what do you look at first if people aren't booking your services?
Okay, good. I'm glad this question got asked. So first of all, these questions actually came through our new broadcast channel. So if you're not already on it, jump on it, because you're going to get to different deals that people are getting to. You're going to be able to ask me questions. I'm going to be voice noting in the chat. So make sure you jump in there if you haven't already. So if clients aren't booking sessions with you, then maybe you need to have a deeper mastery in what you're offering. Because what I've found is that people will book sessions when you're making an impact. Now, if you're at the stage where you're not seeing clients yet and you're just wanting people to book sessions, then what you want to do is show up as much as possible through social media, through free offerings, giving people value and giving people a taste of who you are and how you can help them. And what that really requires to me is a genuine, authentic desire to serve. And if people can feel you and feel that you're wanting to help them with whatever it is that helped you, they are going to come to you. You know, I've had limitless clients since I started. And I think there's 3 reasons for that. One is I trained like you would not believe. Like I followed the organization that I was learning with around the world for a few years, deep in Tantra, and having mentors in Tantra, taking it very seriously. I think a lot of people, because there's so many coaches right now and aspiring practitioners, they think they can just become an amazing coach that people are going to come and see after learning for a very small amount of time or not going really, really deep. But, you know, you wouldn't want to go to see a doctor who doesn't have a medical degree. You wouldn't want to learn singing from someone who isn't an expert or a master in singing. So become a master. We've got enough novices floating around. Become a master. That's the first thing. And then the second thing I did was offer small containers that didn't cost a lot. I used to run a lot of sister circles. People could come for like $20 and get a taste of me, until eventually someone said, "You're so amazing. You should be doing 8-week courses." So let the evolution be natural. I think a lot of people now, they're charging a lot too quickly. So, you know, just give things for free. Offer spaces where you're not charging a lot. People will feel your value, and then the next natural step from that will be bigger offerings that charge more. And then the third, which I'll always stand by, is don't just parrot what someone else has taught you. Let your unique essence shine. Let who you are and your superpowers be the thing that's drawing them in. And that's only going to happen when you have enough mastery that you can empty out and, you know, you've got all of the knowledge, and then you can just bring your own energy and your own essence into what you're radiating out. And then whoever's meant to come to you, your soul clients, will be magnetized. Not everyone needs me. Tara and I are very different in what we've had to work through. So some people will be more drawn to Tara and vice versa. So it's also not taking it personally and knowing that your unique dharma, your unique destiny, your unique offering is going to be felt, is going to magnetize people when you let your true self be seen. Yeah. And you have a genuine desire to share that with people so that you can support them to have the same changes that you've experienced. I'm so passionate about what I teach people and what I give people because it all made such a difference to my life. And Tantra was the missing piece for me. So, of course, I'm like, you have to know your worth. You have to know that receiving love is your birthright. You have to feel that within yourself first. Money stuff, sexuality, anything that I'm talking about is coming from the passion of my own journey, feeling the difference, and then wanting other people not to have to suffer in the same way that I did.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you. And I think that answers one of the other questions around how do you find clients with a small following?
I want to speak to that because there's this illusion that if you have a small following, you can't do well. Even if you have 50 followers, that's 50 people that you could be reaching every single day. And 50 people is a lot of people. Imagine if all of those people were booking sessions. So rather than focusing on numbers, focus on impact. Focus on how can I help these 50 people? Like if you had 50 people in a room, that's a lot of people, right? You'd be pretty happy with that. But for some reason, because of the energy behind social media and the competitive element and the emphasis on followers and comments and this and that, people are just looking at that. Forget the numbers and focus on your impact, on the following that you have.
Amazing. And then we have someone asking on the live, how do you overcome the urge to stop engaging in limited beliefs?
Well, don't stop the urge. You can't stop an urge, right? Notice the urge. Okay, I really want to, like, that belief is there, and I really want to go down that rabbit hole, and choose something else, right? Choose to engage with it still, but also with the expansion of something new and actually allowing that limiting belief to be felt through the body, because every limiting belief has a felt sense that correlates with stuck energy in the body. So you want to discharge it. So, one of the beliefs I was working with is, my mum always taught me, save $1, spend $1. And I felt very shamed when I was spending too much money. So I had to go into that. And I had to I was imagining different times when I'd felt shamed around spending money and just unfreezing those parts in me that wanted to say, go away, that wanted to say, stop, that was afraid, that felt guilty, that felt shame. So shaking, hand screaming, pushing. And then once I'm discharging that, then opening to what I'm wanting, opening to something new, which is it's safe to spend money. This was my mantra for 6 months. It's safe to spend money without stress, in my ease and pleasure. Because part of what was happening as a result of that entrainment was when I was in my dad zone of just spending great, and that was definitely the more conscious energy. I've never really had a problem with spending a lot of money on things as a consistent flow. But then sometimes I would just be like, what have I done? And didn't really understand that, and finally understood that as I dived into what's going on here. Oh, it's not safe to spend money. I'm going to be shamed. I'm going to be punished. So then it's safe to spend money without stress, in my ease and pleasure. And the more, the more money I spend on what truly nourishes me, the more money that comes to me, the more in contact I am with my soul essence. So really, really feeling that. And I actually did an experiment where for 1 month, I like my 1 month challenges. Every time I spent money, I would imagine that it was like the goddess that I was giving. and that money is connected to the goddess. I was practicing deity worship with Lakshmi, and I was saying in my mind, like, plenty more where that come from. And there's more than enough. Because similar to you and I think a lot of people, it's like, there's not enough. There's not enough. No matter how much is there, even though we're millionaires, there's not enough, which is crazy. But once it's indoctrinated, it's very hard to shift. So do something different every day to what you did the day before to expand even more into the limitless possibilities of your full unleashed potential.
And that, for the person who asked the question about how do I rewrite my money story, that's what Raven's just spoken into.
Yeah, and you know, Tantra, when you really dive into Tantra, life becomes a meditation. And what that means is you don't have to sit on the mat to meditate. You can turn your awareness, the masculine principle in Tantra, Shiva, into relationship with Shakti, the feminine principle, the breath, and really feel and stay connected to your body and what's happening. So whenever you feel contraction, notice, what was I just believing then? What was just happening then? Okay, I had a thought. This was the thought that was that's creating anxiety in my body. Perfect opportunity to do it. So the limiting beliefs you want to work with, yes, are the ones that you're conscious of, but more than that are the ones you're unconscious of. And your body is the gateway into your unconscious. So when your body is feeling anxious, when your body is having a nervous system response or reaction that's like fight, flight, or freeze, you want to check that out. What was I believing just then? And let's discharge all of that stuck energy in the body that's connected to that belief. And then where the space is, after I've discharged that, feel the new belief and what that feels like.
Beautiful. So we've also had someone ask, or two things. One, do you have any recommended meditations when doing this kind of work in the body?
I should just do one. I get asked. I'm going to just record an audio for everyone.
Great. So look out for that.
Yeah. And I mean, what you can just do for now is, you know, focus on your breath. Feel the connection between the vibration of your breath and your body. That's always the key to meditation. And then just really see and feel what it is that you're wanting and the amount of money that you're wanting and what your life would look like with that amount of money, and develop a relationship to that vision, develop a relationship to that money, right? So you're calling it in and breathing it in. And I love to breathe it into my root chakra. So I'll see what I want and I'll see the amount that I want. And then money turns into this beautiful golden goddess. And I'm breathing that into my body, and I'm always working with new amounts, and I'm expanding my capacity to hold that. I'm like, okay, let's just expand my nervous system to hold 100K a month. What does that feel like? Oh, wow. And I let the money like seep into every cell in my body and move through me. And then it's always important for me to see it overflowing. Because what I've discovered in my money journey is actually I don't want to welcome in money if it's just staying with me. That's not a limiting belief. It's actually just not who I am. So I macrocosmic orbit that shit. So I feel it coming in and then I feel it flowing out. I feel it coming in and then I feel it flowing out. And yes, it's flowing out to things that are personal to me, but it's also flowing out to the people that I love, to having a community where people can come. So you also want to just stay connected to, okay, it's coming in and where is it overflowing to? And I like to do that with any kind of manifestation. You know, when I was manifesting Matisse, I was imagining that beauty, and I did this with a client yesterday. I was imagining this pure loving presence and what it would feel like in my body. And I was breathing that in, and then I was letting that energy overflow into my kids who hadn't been around a man consistently feeling that. And one of the things I wanted was a father figure for them that could be there and love them. And I've got that, which is beautiful. And everything I visualized about Matisse and the love I wanted is here now. And it wasn't surprising because my nervous system was already used to it. So the meditation that you want to do is focused on expanding your nervous system to start calibrating to the resonance of what it is that you want. And then the other side of it is getting more intimate with what you're manifesting, like money, giving it I like to actually make it an object or a person, or, whenever I'm manifesting something that is a bit less tangible. Like, yeah, I could just imagine dollar notes, but that's not exciting for me. So when I see this golden goddess and then her golden liquid flowing into me, that feels good. And pleasure is the best nervous system regulator. So you want to be nice and relaxed, feeling that energy coming in and overflowing it. And then do it every day. Don't give up. Oh, I manifested for a week and nothing happened. There's not a day in my life, probably since I've been quite young, because I was trained from an early age in the principles of manifestation, where I'm not seeing what I want. Every morning I'm like, today's going to be beautiful. This is how I'm going to feel. When I'm making love to my partner, I'm putting sex magic into that. Intention is everything. And you have a choice to be problem focused and negative scenario focused and negative outcome focused and assessing risks and trying to control your life and seeing all of the stuff in the future that could happen and that is unfavorable. Or you can live your life according to the principle of projection and reflection, which is a universal principle. What we project gets reflected to us. So project out into the world what it is that you want, and you will get that reflection.
Well, I guess that answers the question, do money manifestation techniques work?
When they don't include a felt sense in the body. Because you can do, there's a lot, I would say that 80% of what I've seen around money manifestation is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it's not working with the unconscious. It's not working with the felt sense in your body. It's not connecting you to the person you would be if you were living this life at a deep place of going into the body. And that's the gift of Tantra. It goes beyond mental concepts, beyond therapeutic concepts, and says, let's go into the body, breathe, move, sound, and feel who you are when you're not just the result of the conditioning of your parents and the societal conditioning.
Mm-hmm. And how beautiful is that? It's like these techniques that we are then empowered to create the lives that we want for ourselves and that we desire, rather than sitting and laying back and being kind of a slave to our conditioning, what our parents' conditioning was and their parents' conditioning was.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's what I love seeing now in the conscious community as well, is it's like things are changing on a family, ancestral level, on a societal level, and it really comes down to, where are we putting our attention, where are we putting our energy, and are we activating our will to actually do something different? That we always speak about. It's going to feel uncomfortable because it's outside of what's normal for us and what's familiar to us. So if you're working money and you're changing that dynamic in your business, in your relationship to your own bank account, it's going to feel a bit uncomfortable every time you expand to the next level. And, I've watched your journey with that and my own journey with money. And now what used to be a massive stretch for me is my comfort zone. Taking it to the next stage. And that's the path of evolution, whether it's with money or relationship, the expansion and contractions.
And the most uncomfortable part for me is, one of the biggest principles of manifestation is that you need to make decisions as though
I'm glad you brought that up.
We come to fruition, right? So I made quite a big investment into the mentor I was working with. I also made quite a big investment into with the business. We were investing a lot into different aspects. And I also put my prices so far up that I was like, is anyone going to work with me anymore? But actually I had such a huge inpouring of demand for people working with me that I had to keep putting my prices up because of supply and demand. But I'm like, oh, is this really the right thing? And I remember when I first put my price up, I was getting inquiries every day for people working with me, which was giving me validation, right? Not that I knew that I needed that. And then when they weren't coming in every day, I'm like, oh, shit. And noticing that, right? And that felt uncomfortable. And then it felt uncomfortable going, is this going to happen? But literally, as I was working with all the limiting beliefs around my first big client to work with me for a year is a considerable amount of money, I was working with all of these limiting beliefs, and then I got to a really huge core one, which was massive, right? And 2 or 3 hours after I did that process, I got my first 1-year client, and applications have come in effortlessly since. So, and I've noticed that in my journey all along. It's like there is such a shift when I shift. So understanding that and knowing that and persisting with the deep inner work. There's also this other thing of like, you know, in that question, does it work? It's kind of ironic because even though you're tuning into who am I if this came to fruition and making decisions from that place. So, you know, for me, it's like I'd be putting my prices up. I'd be investing in the business. I'd be investing in a personal mentor. No brainer. But, oh my God, what if I'm investing all of this and it doesn't work, right? And then it's actually trusting that investment, if it doesn't, is going to show you something, right? So everything that I've decided from the place of my future self has actually been perfect and has brought in more money actually, but it might not have, and I'm not attached to that. I'm never attached to what I'm manifesting because my level of trust and surrender to the universe is huge. And I also know that if it's something that serves me and serves the people around me and I'm not manifesting it, it's because I've still got a block. So then it's showing me that. And it's like, okay, what is there still? And it's like, okay, can I really imagine my life where we're receiving X amount of passive income? I've got all of this spaciousness. And if I'm going to imagine that life, I need to have more spaciousness now and start calibrating to that. And that's been very uncomfortable for me. But I'm finding that I'm working less, but it has so much more quality because I'm filling myself up and I'm not fucking around when I do sit down to do something. I'm just on. I'm trusting my intuition. I'm decisive. I'm doing an invocation every time I sit before the computer. I'm opening to be a channel for spirit, and it's all just coming out.
That's such a huge point that doesn't get talked a lot about actually in manifestation, is actually calibrating your life to that in significant ways now.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's like people who have a retirement fund, right? And they're like, I'm saving all this money so that one day I can actually fucking enjoy my life, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to 70, right? Or maybe they retire early. They've worked hard all their life, and then they're like, their nervous system is resonating with busyness. So, okay, now's the time I'm meant to chill. I don't know what the fuck to do with myself, right? Yeah. So then they either fill their time in or spend all their money. It's like people who win the lotto and they spend it really quickly because they don't know how to calibrate to that level of money. And they're staying the same person, but now they've suddenly got money. But the person they were without money was living a life according to scarcity. So if they're still living that life according to scarcity, they're projecting that out. They're going to get that reflection. So all their money has to be gone.
Yeah, and I think hearing you say this, I noticed that was the missing piece when I was manifesting money. I'd always work with a value, and then I would feel that in my body, and then I would manifest it. But I noticed that I would still not feel like I had enough, no matter how much. So then it's like, oh, okay, no, this is actually my goal now. I'd reached that goal. It's still not enough. There was still the fear there. And the bit that really shifted it was actually realizing and really acknowledging and being grateful for what I had. being like, wow, how blessed am I to have these savings, live this life. And the next stage was to spend the money.
Uh-huh.
My family upbringing, you know, my grandma has all this money. She's 93 years old. She doesn't spend it to look after herself.
Mhm.
She's like, no, not now. It's not about her. It's about, but I need to leave an inheritance for my children. And I'm looking at that being like, that is not going to be me. And the choice to go, all right, I'm going to go to Europe. Haven't done that in years. Spend my money, take myself on a holiday, buy beautiful things, go to gorgeous places, be surrounded by amazing people was the thing that really shifted that. And those old patterns stopped from that point onwards, largely from actually living in that frequency rather than just having this amount in the bank that I could be like, oh, okay, I've got the amount now, but I still have this contraction and fear around money.
And I remember you saying that the amount you spent, you literally got that back.
It was like insane.
Back. And that's what happens. Crazy shit happens. And the thing with manifestation is you don't need to know how. You just need to know what it is that you want, see that and feel that. I do want to say something though, because there is so much around money at the moment on social media and coaches stepping up, and it's great. But also I think it's important to say money is not going to make you happy. Like, it's just not. I know millionaires who are miserable. I'm sure lots of people know it's nothing external to you can make you happy. So part of the key to manifestation and part of the key to not being attached to that which you're manifesting and to trust the universe is to have such a solid foundation within that you know that with the most simplicity, you can still be happy. Like, I know I've got my camper van. I know if I'm in the camper van with my beloved, I get to see my kids and friends and be in nature. I could have $2,000 in the bank. And I actually had $2,000 in the bank with my camper van. So I'll share a huge turning point that I had with money, which was Tara and I had a particular account, a foundation, and they were closing foundations down, and it was advised to us to let the foundation go and spend all the money that was in the foundation and start up another account. So there was like a certain amount of money in that account and I needed to spend it all, and that was all of my savings. And so for the first time in my life, I've always got around like between $30,000 and $50,000 savings since I was like 18. I bought my first house when I was 21. And that was my mum's like spend a dollar, save a dollar. Did definitely come in handy. And and so I've spent all this money. I've literally got a few grand in the account. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But actually, we had the camper van. We're out in nature. It was beautiful. And I'm like, you know, I know that there's going to be enough money coming in to maintain this life, and that's enough for me. And then as soon as I could surrender into that, then I was like, actually, I do want more money so that X, Y, and Z and other visions that I had. So I jumped on a call with this beautiful client that I was working with who was also very generous with her time, and she's like a millionaire coach. And she had to give me a session. I was teaching. She was going through the practitioner training with me. And she said, how much money do you want to feel safe? Because I said to her, I'm actually going through this and this, because part of the one-on-one practitioner training with me is that you're giving me sessions and I'm authentic in whatever I'm desiring to work with. And I said, I want 50 grand. And she's like, okay, so we can manifest that for you in the next few days. She's like, manifestation queen. Like, really? She's like, of course. And then she said, okay, so when I first wanted to start working with you, it wasn't the right time and you didn't even follow me up. And I followed you up. Do you ever follow up clients who want to work with you if it's not the right time? I'm like, no, never. She's like, okay, when you get off this call, you're going to look at all of the people who've contacted you, feel into who actually really needs you, and send them a message and say, hey, I feel like you really need to work with me. do you want to just, recontemplate that? And, she supported me to give an authentic message. So I reached out to 7 people who I thought really needed to work with me. You were one of them, Tara, at the time. And they all started working with me. And 2 of them were friends who were working with me anyway, but not in a container that is like me formally giving sessions. And I knew they needed that, but was a bit too shy to say. And she gave me that confidence. And she really said, like, you're serving people when you're reminding them. You're serving people when you're calling them to power, because they unconsciously, they don't want to work with you, some people, because it's going to take them to the next level that unconsciously they're not ready for, even though they think they are. So I had $52,000 in my account by the end of that week. And what she also did with me in that session was look at my limiting beliefs around it. And the biggest one at that stage was not to be pushy with clients. I've never even advertised for sessions. And I'm comfortable. I've always been very comfortable with advertising stuff with the academy that's serving more than just me, but nowhere near as comfortable about private sessions. So she also said, okay, so just do a few stories with your private sessions, just so that you can recalibrate that and go, I'm actually serving people. This isn't anything other than coming from my heart. And I did a couple of stories. I got some big clients from that experience. And that year and onward, money's just growing and growing and growing. So sometimes actually not having any money can be the call to power when you can surrender into what would life be like if I just had enough? What would that be like? And could I be happy with that? Because that is very liberating, extremely liberating, when you know that you are happy within, whether you have money or you have same thing with relationship. As whenever I'm manifesting a relationship, I'm not coming from a place of, I need this to be happy. My life's already feeling full and beautiful when the manifestation has been like exactly what I want, and I'm feeling confident with that. And then it's like, it's just adding to the joy. But when I manifested relationship, when I didn't feel as happy and complete on my own, then there was a bit more fear when I was manifesting. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go for the ultimate, because what if I never have a relationship? But when I asked myself that question before I was manifesting Aaron and Matisse, it's like, well, if I don't manifest my ultimate and on my own, that's actually okay. I'd rather go for the ultimate, because this is already pretty good, and that's the place you want to come from.
Yeah, and that's the difference from manifesting from a place of needing security, either through money, relationship, or manifesting from the place of expansion and what's going to bring more joy to an already pretty good life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I love how linked this all is. I love how these principles of relating to money, of relating to partnership, of relating to worth. It's like they're really the same principles that we get to apply with so many things.
Absolutely. And all of you out there, you are worthy of receiving the amount of money and love that you desire. You are absolutely fundamentally worthy. You don't have to do anything to be worthy of that. You're already worthy. And, it's this space of feeling safe to receive the love you want, this space of feeling safe to receive the money that you want, and actually starting to feel that in your body, see that, put it somewhere, put it on your phone, put it on a vision board, put it, like Matisse and I have got this golden pineapple that, I put little manifestations in, and there's always something, a symbol that I have in the bathroom that I'm going to see every day of what I'm manifesting. So it's good to also have little triggers in different places to remind you and to open you and expand you into what it is that you're desiring.
Beautiful. Oh, that's a great note to close on, I feel.
Yeah.
Nice, practical, magical tool of beautiful items, altar items to remember those expansion points.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Diane. Thanks everyone for being with us and joining this. And yeah, really, I hope that you can take this into your daily practice and implement it and create the change that you're desiring in your life.
And on the first point around mastery, and actually if you're going to be a successful coach or practitioner who's bringing a lot of money in, you need to do a course. You need to dive deep. You need to commit and dedicate yourself. And the way that I've designed the practitioner training that we offer is a deep dive where you are mastering tools, techniques, and methods through your own unique essence to radiate who you are, to radiate Tantra into their life, and to magnetize clients towards you that are going to want to come to you because what you're learning and your being is having a genuine impact. So the practitioner training is absolutely amazing. We're in our third round at the moment, and it's so beautiful to see everyone blossoming. If you want to jump on the wait list for next year's, then do that.
Absolutely. Amazing. All right. Well, we will see you all in a couple of weeks. I believe we're taking a week off from lives because I'm going to be in the Living Tantra retreat. And stay tuned for more of these lives.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com.